Lots to share with you in the Business Report today. In search of the answer to a question whose equivalent is being asked in developing countries across the world as it relates to how the business-as-usual model for development, heavily reliant on hydrocarbons, compares to a transition to a green, climate-resilient economy. Today, the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, in partnership with the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, and the International Labour Organization ILO, released a landmark study that could profoundly shape Jamaica's plans for a climate-resilient future anchored on a new economic model. Dr. Kishan Kodai, Resident Representative UNDP, introduces the concept.
So this resulting report that we're handing over today, the National Green Economic Growth Model for Jamaica, provides a clear picture of potential impacts and how Jamaica can drive sustainable job creation, leveraging the benefits of a green economy. It identifies sectors with the greatest potential and highlights the need for reskilling and upskilling workers to meet this future demand. We're particularly encouraged by the potential net impact on GDP if Jamaica increases investments in skills for green jobs training, scales up green tech capital expenditures, decreases transport fuel costs by electrifying vehicles. It's a timely and critical moment of reflection for Jamaica and other small island developing states, which are largely dependent on fossil fuels and extremely vulnerable to climate-induced shocks.
So, just how much of an impact would a green transition hypothetically have on Jamaica's GDP? Marek Harsdorf, economist for the Just Transition Priority Action Programme within the International Labour Organization ILO, first defined the three scenarios that were selected for analysis.
So together with the technical committee and in consultation with stakeholders in Jamaica, three scenarios were selected based on policy. So the first is a green tech capital expenditure. Obviously, it's a large share, $12 billion. Then was also mentioned by the ministry, often we do forget that the capital expenditures requires human capital and the skills to install these capital in $3 billion. And then, as a result, we'll see this also in more detail, the transport fuel cost by electrifying the vehicles will allow for further investments into the economy.
The results of the Green Job Assessment Model and their relevance to particular sectors were also identified.
So these three scenarios result in an approximately 1% higher GDP than in the baseline by the end year of the model, that is 2035. That represents some $33.7 billion. So if you look at the chart, you see the GDP developing from 2023, where the investment started to be modeled. So the first 5 years or so, or 3 to 4 years, the economy grows faster than in a business as usual, up to 7%, up to 2026. Then you see a small dip. It's not a dip in GDP, but it's a dip in the growth rate, meaning that from 7% of growth, in addition to baseline, it decreases to 5%, still in addition to a baseline scenario with no green growth scenario. We see here highlighted that the service sector, such as retail and trade and repairs, hotels and restaurants, real estate, renting and business activities, and other services, they grow most. So interestingly, in the macroeconomic model, you see obviously growth of jobs in the construction sector and manufacturing. However, due to the so-called induced effects, because households save money and spend it on other services, also induced job creation is the effect of a green growth scenario.
The study suggests that an additional 8,000 jobs will also be created as a result of the transition, with service sector jobs, restaurants and hotels, as well as construction in the initial phases, likely to see the majority of growth. But how will it be financed?
To continuously finance a progressive carbon energy tax is proposed. What does it mean, a progressive carbon tax? It means that it is typically the rich or the richest households who consume most energy, which leads to energy inequality. So rich people tend to fly, people tend to have large houses and consume, and they are not hurt necessarily by a small increase in the energy tax or carbon price.
And as Alric Brown, Kingston Regional Director in the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, confides, the transition will cause disruptions in the labour force, disruptions that must be anticipated and properly planned for.
We will need to assess the current talent available in Jamaica, the existing skill gaps, and the upskilling opportunities for workers. Similarly, public-private partnerships will be encouraged to harness the opportunities for the advancement of economic activities in the green economy. We call upon all MDAs, training institutions, and civil society groups to increase awareness within your organizations and explore opportunities for partnership.
A similar sentiment was shared by Shamir Brown, Vice President, Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions.
So what this has allowed us to do now, going further in the dialogues that we do, the negotiations that we do, is to better, we are going to use this data to better inform how we negotiate going forward. With Jamaica's commitment to its Vision 2030 goals and its nationally determined contributions, we expect to see significant economic shifts. The model is expected to prepare us for those changes, ensuring that workers are not left behind, but are actively supported in these new, greener roles.
And that was your business report. I'm Joel Crosskill.